going to put a new chain on the cart. So this is the one I'm using, DID. Renthal also really good, and it has to be so many links long. I think it's 47. I'm just going to double check and then I'll make it that long. So this is link 47. I've got to use this to take out the pin so I can split the chain. Just hook that over like that and then screw. It'll come out. Right, I've already put it back together now. It is 47 links. I don't use a split link, but I'll put it back together and then I use 8mm socket to go over there and just hammer that down, but not too tight. You just want it to have movement, and that's that. Now to put it right, so I've got the chain on in place now. Crucial thing with the chain is you've got to make sure it's right in line with your clutch there. If it's not, they tend to jump off. The chain will jump off or will be knocked off quite easily. That's another reason actually why you have these on the axle, to stop the axle moving. So you have that side and a bit of tube the other side to stop it moving. So to line the chain, some people use a 50-pound laser level chain aligner. We don't. We use this piece of steel box section. What we do is, there's 3 bolts in the drive gear there. So what I do is get the box section, put it on the inside on the flat of the metal gear, and then it will go through and it will line up with the clutch. I've already lined this one up, so you can see that's dead in line with the edge, and then spin that to the next bolt, do it again, lines up, and then the 3rd bolt again lines up there behind the clutch gear, so you know it's straight. So doing it 3 bolts, if that's got a bit of a bend in it, you'll notice it, and then you've got to sort of center it to the best sort of place. And if you've got a bent axle, it does a similar thing. It may be all right at one point, at the next point it might be a bit out, so you just got to pick the middle ground really. That lines that up, and then you want a bit of slack in it. You don't want it tight, because if it's tight it drags the engine down too much. So this is how much I've got in this one at the minute. Sometimes I run it a little bit looser than that, but this is a brand new chain, so after the first race or second race I'll check it again, because it will loosen off a little bit. So that's a good starting point like that. And that is that. Done. Next job. So the engine is basically held in by 2 bolts, that's all. So you have, the engine sits on a base plate there. That's got 2 bolts that stay in the engine and in that. And then the 2 on the inside, this one here, and there's one at the back, go through the bottom of the chassis and bolt it to, and you can slide it forwards and backwards. So it's just them 2 bolts hold that in. So you tighten it up, and then what I've got on here, got a bolt like this. Most carts have one of these on the back. I've got one on the back and the front. So basically all that does is your bolt goes up to your base plate, and then you've got 2 lock nuts to lock it in place there. And then if you hit anything hard or crash or whatever, it stops your engine moving forwards or backwards. Because if you don't have them on the front, what can happen is if you hit something hard with the front, your engine can slide forward a bit, and then your chain goes really solid tight and you won't have much go. It'll take all the power out of it. So if you have them, you can crash a lot, and if your chain stays on, you're good to go. So here you've got the wires to power the engine. So that's the earth cable going to that on the battery and the positive. And I use a Shido, or however you say it, a 12-volt battery. It's handy because it's got a tester on there that tells you if it's full. So I've basically doubled up the wires just as a bit of a fail safe. So if one of them snaps, I've got a backup to keep it running. That's all that is. It's only to start it anyway. Once it's started, you're all right. That's it. So that the negative goes just to that. The positive goes round. Bolts on here. And then I've also, there's an extra wire here, you can see positive there, and I've got the earth on there, or the negative. That just goes to my lights, my flashing lights for the roof. Right, I've connected the throttle cable to the engine now. So there's a steel rod that plugs into this plastic bit here. That's your throttle to your carb. And then there's a spring attached, what's to your cable tied to the back chassis to give it tension. That needs a good bit of tension, so when you push your pedal down, it pulls it back well. So let's just get up here. That connects to your throttle cable through here, through one of these, or you can use different things. But I've used this with 2 bolts in, so the throttle cable's one end and that's the other. And then I can pull it from here to rev it if I need to. So that's attached to this bracket that holds the cable. Cable's inside there, that goes round. This cable tied in, comes out down here. So I've got a bit of metal on the chassis that is screwed to. Throttle cable comes out from that and attaches to your pedal there. So you've already got a spring on your pedal, but your secondary one to pull your throttle back probably does most of the work. You have a good bit of tension on it. And obviously that's your throttle, and it pulls back. So I've got a bit of a thicker throttle cable. I used to have a thinner one, but at the gold top at Stoke, I got put in first bend quite hard. The front end went in and it snapped the throttle cable. So it's probably already frayed, but I got a thicker one now just to try and help it not fray and snap. So what you want to do when you connect your throttle is get someone to hold your throttle pedal full open. I've got a bolt on here on the pedal that you can adjust, and I've got a stopper here, so that can fine tune it to know if your throttle's flat out. So if you get someone to hold that flat out, and then another person can get hold of this, and if you pull it, when your throttle's down, you shouldn't be able to pull it at all. It should be tight. If you can move it like forward so you can pull it on, you've not got full throttle, so you need to just pull it, adjust it somehow. Either you adjust it on here, or if you've got one like me on the pedal, you can adjust it on the pedal, which I think is a bit easier. So that's all there is with the throttle. I've took the air filter lid off, so obviously that's just got a screw on the top. Take that off, there's a screw there, you can undo that and change your air filter. You got to make sure that is tight, because if it's loose, they check that and screw it in. It should be tight. And obviously you cover, do it with one hand, goes on top, and then screws on there like that. So that's basically it with your throttle. Just to mention, because I didn't have it on when I put the engine in, because it was dynoed without one. But last year we had these fitted, so basically it's a tube that comes out your rocker cover. Normally went straight into the top of this air filter, which links to your carb. Now we have the pipe and it comes to a filter, which is cable tied. I'll cable tied to this. I have to make sure if you cable tie this, it's got to be drilled right near the bottom, so it doesn't go into it. Whoops. And then you can just pick it, and they're red. That's just a blank. That's where it used to plug in. Just blanks it off. And you've got a spark plug in here. So with spark plugs, you have to have a certain type. You want about a 1 mil gap at the end of your spark plug, and the open part of your spark plug you ideally want pointing downward, so the spark can get easier to it. You don't want it the other way around, because the spark's got a bit further to go. Not that it really makes a lot of difference, but yeah, that's that. So this is the exhaust. I've changed them slightly this year. They all got sent back to be made exactly the same. They've got this thick bit on the top there now. They're just held in with 2 bolts there and there. I've got quite a few washers on there. Got some spring washers to help hold it on. I've had to use a helicoil on both of those because they're threads, because it's heavy, the threads pull out. That's the exhaust on. Okay, so we've got the seat in, that's bolted in now. You can see here I've made a nice cover for it, because it was a Kirky lightweight. They don't come with a full cover, they come with just them side bits, a bit that goes in the bottom and this bit on the head. So I decided to make my own cover, which is waterproof. Bit of professional sewing going on there. So basically the seat bolts in. There's 2 bolts, what I've got in my seat anyway, that go straight through the bottom here, bolt into the floor, and then in the back I've got another, there's another 4 in there. There's one there, one there, there's one in another one in the middle, and another one down this side. So you have to have 6 fixings for your seat. Also for your seat, you have to have this bar that runs across the back of it. And if you look, this comes off of it, so your belts go on the bar instead of your seat, and it pulls down your shoulder properly then. So I think that's in the rules as well. I don't think I've got a lot else to say about the seat. I've got these pads underneath, this red foam. This is used for aircraft crashes to stop people breaking their back. So it absorbs shock. So I've just got some of that padding in to help my back, because, you know, I'm getting on now. I'm almost a veteran. I've got a bit on my butt there as well, so don't keep bruising my ass. Not put my belts in yet because I've got them at home. I've got brand new belts this year. Been big spending. So that is all I can really tell you with the seat. You have to have these on as well. Stop your head going out the window. So they're good, but Kirky seat's really good. I used to have a different make weren't so good, and that bent, and these ear bits on it, they bent on the old one. These ones are pretty good. I've headbutted them quite a few times and they don't really move too far, so they're good. Recommend it. So yeah, that's all I can say about the seat really. So I've now put sponge in. So I'll put sponge around the column there. There's sponge on the column, around the top bar of the column. I have it one down that bar, one across there, because my knee, well, I rest my knee on it actually, and it does hit it. That side I've never hit my knee at the minute. I probably will this year now I've said that. Sponge there. Got sponge down the side there. That has to be there. That's in the rules. That one. And the other side over there. And I've put 2 behind my head. But it shouldn't be hitting my head. It's bad times if I'm hitting my head on them. But I just put them there anyway. I've put my chain guard on as well today. Right, we've now got all the bumpers on. So the bumpers are just these thick plastic bumpers. We bolt them on in several places. Got these rubber buffers in between, so they take any of the impact. They do split sometimes when you take some hard hits. I had to put 2 in there to get the bumper away from the metal. That's the front one. The side ones, you have a steel rail and then they fix to that. On my side rails, so they go into the chassis there. I've got a secondary fix in here, this here. That's, I think it's 2mm wire rope. Just as a secondary, fitted it to a gusset on here. So if the bolt snaps or it snaps, it won't fall out. Or if it does, it'll only go a little way. Because I've had a few of them snap and your whole bumper hangs off and then you're black flagged. I've also got an extra nut in here. Basically all that does, there's a nut underneath welded. That screws down onto the top of the bar and holds it tight. Because I've got these tight, because the problem is if they come loose and they rattle up and down, that's what causes the bolt to snap or the steel bar to snap. So I've got that on there. I've got a secondary fix in on the back there, on that one. And then back bumper, I've just fitted a brand new back plastic bumper on there. You have your wheel guards there, used my old ones, that's why they're a bit funny shape. Same there, rubber bushes in between. And then the other side, see I've got the same there. Got my 2mm wire rope. The 2mm wire rope, why I use 2 meters, because these joiners here, what you clamp on, the crimps you have for electrical wires, where you have connectors that are blue, yellow and red, they fit in the biggest one, so you can crimp it with them. You don't need a special crimper. So that's why I've used 2mm wire rope. And so far so good. Last year didn't have none of them, my bolts didn't snap anyway, but I think they've done the job what they're supposed to do. Stops movement in them, does a good job. So that's the bumpers. Excellent. Right, we've got the roof. The roof is bolted on now. So the way we do it, I think a lot of them are like this. We have a bar go through, box section goes across through to the other side. That's welded to this roof plate, and then it's the same on the front end. And then when the roofs are made, they've obviously got the box section across. There's the top here, box section there, box section there. So we drill straight through the box section both sides. Scooch around, and then it just bolts straight through the top, and that makes your roof really solid. And there on your roof you have to have these catches. So obviously you've got a spring bit here that loops over top and then clips it down like that. There's hooks, if you see there, and that pulls it down tight. They've got adjusters, they've got screws on the bottom, so you just have to make sure they're tight. And there's a locator hole there for a pin, which is in the middle. So you put it down, bang, and then that's hard to get. That goes up, and that clips down. Same the other side, and then you'll see it won't move at all. Solid. I've just got to put my flashy lights on the roof. This is a budget roofing. You can get different roofings, but I find the budget ones are better, because if you crash or roll over, these side bits are easy to replace because they're only a straight bit of alley, so you can easily replace both sides because they've just pot riveted on. So that's the roof. Lovely jubbly. We are nearly there now. Just got to get the flashing lights on.